Hello to anyone that's watching. This is just going to be a general reading, so I don't have anything mapped out this time. I'm just going to let whatever comes out come out, and I also have some oracle that I'm going to pull out at the end just to give some advice on that. I also apologize in advance. It's a Friday night here, and sometimes the neighbors get rowdy, so if you hear anything in the background, I'm sorry about that. But without further ado, I'm going to start to get into it. Alright, if you chose pile 1 or the crackle chords, then this could be for you. I do sometimes associate this, let me see if I can get it in frame. I do sometimes associate this with being under pressure. I don't know where that came from. Acupuncture I was hearing as well, so you could be very sore, but being under pressure makes me think that you could just, quite literally be under a lot of pressure right now. But it could be just like daily stresses and everything like that as well. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. One of my little charms popped up. Maybe you're in shambles right now, because that's what I'm starting to feel like today. It's just been one of those days where sometimes things just don't go the way that you would hope they would go, and that's that. You just have to roll with the punches. So the shuffling might be a little bit loud, so I'm sorry about that in advance. I don't know if that's still... Anyway, we'll get into it. There could be a feeling of being kind of stuck right now, like the wheels aren't turning. Temperance reversed. To kind of clarify that. I find I get like ADHD brains when I do readings, so I'll be like all over the place, so I'm sorry about that. I'm just gonna see what else wants to come out for you guys. But yeah, the temperance in reverse, there's just like a disruption in the natural flow of things. I meant to put that like that, but it came out like that, so that's how we're gonna take that. Big need for rest right now. Oh my goodness. I feel like I relate to this pile a lot right now. Queen of Wands, and that's my card. We must be twins. That's always the card that comes out that people associate with me. Maybe you have trouble speaking like I do. I get anxious with these things. Sun reverse and the 10 of Cups, and the bottom is Strength in reverse. Okay, so this automatically makes me feel like you aren't feeling like you're in your element right now. You could be a fire sign or a Leo. I'm a Leo, fire sign as well, that's why Queen of Wands. There is just a lot of fire here as well, the sun even, so you could, if not be a fire sign, have a lot of traits that are similar to fire signs. So like I said, it feels like things right now, I'm seeing that, like, it's a meme, but it's also in SpongeBob, that episode and the scene where he like looks into his brain and it's just a bunch of little SpongeBobs like on fire and like trying to file things, and the files go everywhere. So I kind of feel like that's the vibe that you're in right now. I just feel like if there's one word that I could use to describe it, it's definitely chaos. And I just want to preface by saying there is good. I'm just gonna get to that, I promise. You probably already know that too. There's no doves in these cards, but for some reason I'm thinking of a dove. There's wings here. Doves are usually signs of like peace and harmony. I would associate them with good things to come as well. I'm getting ahead of myself again. But like the rainbow was also calling out to me. I'll get to that in a second. I'm sure you're here for the haul if you're here anyway. But like I was saying, temperance reverse, there's just an imbalance right now. And I'm also seeing it as if it was like a train kind of derailing. You could have a lot of like change happening that maybe you felt like you weren't really ready for. But you definitely have to embrace it. Because I feel like with the Temperance reverse, if things feel like they're out of flow, you have to bring them back into balance. And the only way to do that is to accept whatever change or whatever chaos is happening as it is, and know that it's going to bring better things in the future. So that's the best way to surrender to that, if you may. This is also, I don't think these are eyes, but it's making me think of like traditional angels, like how they would actually be depicted with like the eyes and the wings like all over. A lot of people get tattoos of it. It's very pretty. But that could be significant to you. So then in the middle, we have the Nine of Swords reversed, which is actually pretty good. I would say that you're kind of coming out of this anxiety by realizing that you need rest and you need to take time for yourself. It could have been that you got to the point where you were burning out, and that's when you finally decided, okay, like I actually need to like calm down and take the rest I need. There's also another person here too, so there could be another person in your life that brings you peace, like the type of person that, like when you hang out with them, it doesn't feel like they're taking any of your energy, but they're actually giving back to you. Like it's an equal give and take, like it's good, like you guys are each other's support systems. But I feel like if you've been in your head, I feel like you're one of those people that always needs to be one step ahead of anything that happens like out of the blue. Like you always want to know what happens. You don't want any surprises in your life. And I think that that's kind of why this is getting you so much in your head, or had you so much in your head. It looks like you're getting out of this energy. So I would say that you're probably either in the middle of getting past it or past it. But I think that definitely the reason why you get so in your head is because of that. I just totally, there's also these rings here. It makes me think of like a crossover period, because you know, it's just like those diagrams, right? And I feel like you're in the middle here between, like, it reminds me of crossing over to, like, when, depending on your beliefs, but like when you cross over from like the spirit world, like kind of tethered to this like earth, to, you know, like supposed heaven or whatever you believe in, like crossing over in that way. But in the sense of real life, you could just be, for example, like moving. So you could be between two places and you're kind of in that middle between like the past and the future. You could just feel a little bit stagnant right now. And I think that's because something hasn't happened quite yet. And it could either be that you know and you just can't make movements towards this yet, or it just hasn't happened yet, like the change that's coming. But I definitely feel like it's kind of like a slow moving process, even if it feels a little bit more quick, if that makes sense. Sometimes things are happening fast, but because they're happening fast, it almost slows down time. There's also, this is very similar to me, like I cannot deny that, but these buildings, I've said that so many times, but having, you know, experience with it helps to get the message across. These like pillars and these buildings here make me think of different cities. So you could be moving places. That could be something that's happening for you. Different environments too, different elements. So it could be that like there's like different weather there, different plants, different animals there. It could be a very different move for you, or a very far move from what you're used to. I just heard the Metallica song in my head. Oh, what is that called? I'm gonna forget it now, aren't I'm still upset about my nail. I was just thinking about that because I saw it. I'll fix that though. Enter Sandman. It's literally one of the most popular songs, and it took me that long to figure it out. But the lyric that I was hearing was when they're talking about, like, it's just the beast under your bed, in your closet, in your head. So I feel like that's kind of alluding to what I was talking about here with you getting in your head. A lot of the worries that you have it's not that they aren't real, but it's that you don't need to worry about them given the circumstances that you're in. And you need to just let go of that, especially if it comes to people in your life and like opinions and stuff like that. Yeah, so just, I feel like I need to like breathe and get that anxiety out, because I'm definitely feeling it. Like, you just need to breathe, let go. Just when you find yourself kind of spiraling, oh, that just shook, sorry. You need to just stop yourself and just take it all in, take a deep breath and let it out. It's not yours to worry about. All right, and then we have the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, I think, is what you're getting to, because even like I said, like, it's almost coming in threes, so it's like past, present, future is kind of like the way that it's laying out. So in the future, what I'm getting from this is that you're going to be in your element. I also think that you're going to learn how to balance things with all these different hands. You're going to learn how to balance things and how to do everything that you wanted to do before that maybe you didn't, or you weren't able to do. Work on the solar plexus chakra could also be significant. I would look into that. There's a lot of yellow and blue too, so throat or third eye's like a darker, so those two as well. Then we have the 10 of Cups and then the Sun reversed. So what I get from this, and it wouldn't maybe be like this the traditional meaning, but I feel like, because these are both very happy cards, but this one's in reverse. So I feel like maybe you had a certain idea in your head of what happiness was to you. And I think that that's changing because of all of these changes that are happening in your life and the direction that you're being taken now. And there's a new type of happiness that's coming out of this, like a different fulfillment, a different happiness. But it's still happiness. It's still the 10 of Cups. It's still emotional fulfillment. It's still very good and very loving energy. And it's a future to look forward to. Maybe your future seemed unclear beforehand, but this one feels more like a clear future, a clear way forward. So this change could be sending you to somewhere where you can actually see forward the steps that you need to take and what you need to do to secure the future that you've always wanted. Maybe not the one that you thought it would be, but the one that you've always wanted deep down. All right, and then the overall energy is the Strength reverse. So like I was saying, kind of feeling like you're out of your element, but you're going to be brought back into that. You could have noticed too that maybe you're a little bit more short-fused lately. And like I was saying, it's just that rest that you need. I really don't think that that will last. If you've been feeling guilty about that, just step back and breathe. That's all you need to do. Everybody has moments like that. We're all human. No one's perfect. I have moments like that. You know, everyone does. But it's nothing that can't be overcome. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the oracle now. Let's see what comes out. And I think I'm just gonna stand up and see. It's not that we're limited on space, but it's definitely a little cramped, so I'm just gonna put it over the tarot. What am I dropping over here? Dropping everything right now, my nails, everything. Okay, so we have 10. Maintenance, encouragement, and guidance. Yeah, so if you felt like you weren't growing for a long time, or I'm hearing hibernation, and I'm seeing like a tree in the winter time. I feel like you could have felt like that, like you weren't blooming the right ways, like you were a little bit stagnant. If you felt that way for a long time, this is now changing. And change can be scary. I find it scary, but it's also beautiful in the same regard. And I think that this is what this is bringing, is a lot of good change and growth, the growth that you've been needing. Take time to breathe out. So, I mean, breathing exercises definitely could be significant. Disseminating moon. Take time to breathe out. That's pretty self-explanatory. Take time just to... Sometimes I find like when a person gets mad, you're not present, if that makes sense. You're more in your head as opposed to like in your heart. It's kind of hard to see what's happening because you get up in your head and it's like sometimes things just come out and that's it. But sometimes when you sit back and realize like the reality of the situation, and not only that, but like how we're all just like human and we all go through the same things, but sometimes in different ways, it kind of helps to realize that things don't need to be taken as seriously sometimes. And a different perspective sometimes can help a lot more than we think. Cleanse reversed. Maybe you've been... I get this is different for this one, but I feel like maybe you haven't been... I think you need to pamper yourself is what I want to say. I don't think it has like the like what I would normally associate it with, which is like for example, like saging your house or using I'm gonna say that wrong, anyway, like things that cleanse, like selenite, like that. Like, I don't think that it's the traditional meaning. I think it literally means like, go take a bath, go take a shower, sit with your thoughts, read a book, take care of yourself, and learn to separate yourself from the things that cause you all of this grief. Fate. Alignment, decisive moments, and opportunistic events. So it being fate makes me think that whatever's happening is meant to happen. Like I was saying, everything that's meant to be will be. And that's just how it is. And it's interesting that these trees are almost dying. It reminds me, it's pretty much like the death card. You have to let old things die so that you can rebirth into a newer, better version of yourself. You could have gotten an opportunity and you don't know if you're going to take it. And I think that's totally up to you and you know what you're ready for, but deep in your heart, use that to decide. You will know what is meant to be and what will work out for you in the end. And then the lyric is, I look at you all, see the love that's sleeping, while my guitar gently weeps. The Beatles. You could feel very isolated from the people around you and wonder maybe why they're so hateful or why they're so down or why they're so like snappy or mean for no reason. And I get that. I know what that's like. But we've all been there. And especially with what you're going through, you know what it feels like to be beaten down and like brought to your lowest. And it doesn't make what they're doing right. But sometimes you just have to take pity on people like that, because if they're acting like that towards you, obviously there's something within themselves that they're not addressing, and it's not on you at all. America Chavez, and it says the best way is your way. Yeah. So don't listen to other people's opinions. Do what makes you happy and worry about what makes you happy, because that's where success is found. It's not found through other people's ideas of what success is. And then the last card is compassion, nurturing, rebuilding yourself, and letting someone help. I think that being sewn up, usually I haven't thought of that before, but like being sewn up is kind of where you're at right now. Like I said, you've been kind of like beaten down. And I think it's time, it definitely is time to rebuild and sew yourself up. Don't just put a bandage over it anymore, because that doesn't heal the deep wounds, right? You have to sew them up and work on them one at a time and keep going. And like it says, let the people around you help if they want to be there and help you, because I think that every little bit means a lot. But anyway, that's your reading. Everything will work out perfectly fine. I think you know what's right and you're ready to take those steps. So good luck with all of that ahead. Alright, if you chose pile 2 or the flower agate, then this could be for you. I'll try and get that in frame. Anyway. The fact that it's flower agate and a mushroom tarot deck makes me think that you could be earthy. You could have earth placements, or you could just be a very down-to-earth person. So earth signs, Taurus. I think Capricorn's an earth sign as well, and maybe Virgo, but don't quote me on that. If not, then those are significant signs. I also get a feeling of like growth, and being in nature could be significant as well. I was also looking at this moss agate too. So I just feel like growth, being in nature, that kind of stuff could be significant. Knight of Cups. These cards are so pretty. I think it's in frame. There's a little snail too. Clarify that. There could be some sort of offer being presented to you by someone. I say that because there's a snail kind of behind the stem. I also feel like too, you could be seeing little signs. Could be feathers, or just little signs that things are coming. Oh, that's way too many. And whatever this offer is, it has to do with stability, which is funny because in the reading before, I had Temperance in reverse. So I don't know if you maybe thought about clicking that one and click this one or what, but it's kind of like similar messages a little bit. Oh my goodness. And then also with this, I don't know if it might be a red cardinal. I don't know if that's right or not. Also, this looks like popcorn, so maybe you could be needing to go see a movie, or you've been wanting to. And that's your sign to go see it if you've been wanting to. But I feel like traditional symbolism that someone who's passed on, if you believe in that, is trying to contact you could be something that you've been seeing a lot. It could also just be confirmation of things that you've been feeling as well. Star reversed with the 2 wands. Let's see what else comes out here. Making sure there's not another one. And then we've got the 8 of Swords as well. Okay, this is definitely very interesting. Maybe it could be that you've been waiting for something to make you feel balanced out, or waiting for some sort of emotional fulfillment to make you feel like you have balance in your life. Because here we have someone that's kind of looking ahead between the two wands in the traditional meaning, who's looking forward to the future, but maybe is forgetting about themselves and their worth. Okay, so I feel like this has to do with this offer. So whatever offer is being presented to you, you need to make sure that you keep your self-worth in mind, and you keep your wants and what you imagine your life to be and how you want to live your life in the back of your mind. You can't just do things for other people. Like, you can't move mountains for other people. You have to do what works best for you. Kind of meet people in the middle. However that applies. It could have to do with a move, because the Two of Wands is usually looking towards, like, or has like a globe, if I'm thinking of that correctly. But with the Star reversed, whatever this is that you're looking towards or you're looking at doesn't define your worth either. And if you feel like you're missing this cup or this offer, know that you need to be in that Nine of Cups energy where you feel content in yourself and you don't need anything else to make you happy before you can welcome in other blessings or other people, whatever that is to you. Interesting message. So with the Four of Pentacles in reverse, that would be letting go of something that you've been holding on tightly to. And then it being clarified by the Hierophant reversed. It makes me think of you having to get rid of a whole way of thinking. I don't know why, that's just what's kind of coming through. It could be that you had something built up in your mind of the way that something was supposed to go, or the way that things are supposed to be. But I think that holding on to that idea, or holding on to the hope that something else other than yourself is going to fulfill you, is having to be broken down right now. I feel like I'm being called to look at the names of these. Turkey Tail and the King Oyster. Both having to do with, like, wildlife as well. I know this is usually like a bad saying, like go take a hike. But I feel like that's something that you need to do. Because I think that whatever this is, whatever this offer is, it could be an opportunity that brings you, whatever it is, it brings you some sort of like emotion to the table. It brings forth some sort of equilibrium, some sort of balance as well. So whatever that is to you, it could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be moving, whatever that is to you. If there's some sort of ideal in your head, I'm getting that it's more like romantic. I feel like it has to do with like a relationship. And I feel like the expectations of that is something that you've had to kind of break down and get rid of. Because instead of relaying cycles or seeing things with like rose-tinted glasses, you need to see it as it is. And if things aren't happening in the present, you shouldn't be worrying about them. What you should be worrying about is what is the present, instead of worrying about the future, if that makes sense. So, which we can all get stuck in. Like, that is something that definitely everyone goes through at some point in their lives. Because it's easy to do. And it's not as easy to work on yourself and to work on your career or your goals or your hobbies. But I definitely feel like I'm seeing like a mirror be faced at you. So you could just be seeing things that you didn't see before, seeing things more clearly. Sometimes it's like you can hear the same thing over and over from different people or from the same person, and it doesn't necessarily click in or make sense to you until it makes sense to you. Like, sometimes everything just becomes clear, like all the fog is lifted, and that happens when it's meant to happen. When you're meant to go through those changes, when you're meant to focus on yourself in a different way. There's a feather here too. You could be seeing a lot of feathers. And then we've got the Eight of Swords, which is very much like anxiety. And with the fly here, it makes me think of something that's dead. So, or feeding on something that's dead. So what that in return makes me think of is that there could have been a relationship or something that died out, that is no longer vibrant or lively. Maybe you don't talk to them anymore. Take it as it applies to you. It's going to be different for everyone, but something that has died, something that is no longer in your life the way it used to be, instead of holding on to that and feeding on to that and almost sabotaging yourself in a way, it's time to let go and see things for how they are. Gain a new perspective. And it's not only about that, but it's also about seeing your worth and knowing that you shouldn't be accepting things that... It goes both ways, because you shouldn't be trying to get something that's like already dead or already dying or already in the past. But in the same regard, don't overstretch yourself and don't be overly nice and don't overdo things for people who don't do them back. Because then you're just like beating at a dead bush, essentially, and you've got a lot to give as a person. Just because you can't see that you're the star doesn't mean that you aren't the star. Because the star... I keep like talking as if you know tarot, so you could also read tarot and be intuitive. But I just feel like your self-worth is something that really needs to be worked on right now. And sometimes it takes having something happen to you to realize that things that you thought weren't affecting you are still affecting you to this day. But you've got too much to give as a person to let other people feed off you. For sure. This is definitely a shorter kind of message. I feel like I'm seeing like different streams too. But it almost looks like connectedness. You can... And I feel like this has to do with your intuition. So your intuition could have been telling you that you're still connected to this person and they feel this, that, and the other thing about you, right? But this is getting a little bit more specific. So if it's not for you, it's not for you, but you'll know if it is or not. The nods or the things that you've been getting, the intuitive hits, essentially, that like this person feels a certain way about you, or this person wishes this would happen, or I know that this is going to come. Like, you know what's going to happen, right, with your intuition. But until it happens, you shouldn't get stuck on a certain circumstance or the thought of something potentially happening, because that stagnates you more. And I feel like right now it's time to let go of that, to let yourself, that old version of yourself, kind of decompose and then make something new and beautiful out of it. Which makes sense with like the plants and the, you know, the mushrooms and everything. and this diamond keeps catching my eye. A diamond in the rough is the term. I'm trying to think of, I mean, I could probably guess what that means, but you just need some polishing up. And I feel like I need to say too, like, you are not alone when it comes to these things. So many people have gone through this. Everyone probably has gone through it at some point if they're intuitive. Knowing or feeling things but that can't be proven. And it's hard not to get attached to that when you know that it's true. And I think in that way too, sometimes you can overextend yourself because you know that they feel that way and you kind of want to help them, like, get that out of them. But sometimes they have to learn to do that on their own. Just like you need to be in that Nine of Cups energy where you are fine on your own by yourself. You fill your own cups and your own needs. The other person needs to be that way too before you guys can both come together. Yeah. So I'll get the oracle now. I think that's all that needs to come out. Dragonflies could be significant too as well. But maybe more, we'll get more answers in the oracle because this is a little, it definitely feels a little bit more heavy for sure. And I think the biggest thing is like the burden that you feel that you are, and you are absolutely not a burden. Like, I can sit here and tell you that 100% you are not a burden at all. And you're not stupid, you're not any sort of thing that you can make up in your head for the way that you feel or the way that you've been viewing things. You are absolutely not stupid for that. If anything, you're smart. But it's just the way that the 3D world works. You kind of have to work around that and work with that, as opposed to kind of trying to, it's not that you're trying to force things, you're trying to help, but in a way, in the way that the world works, it almost comes off as like trying to force things out of people, which especially for certain people that can be very overwhelming. So like I was saying, just focus on you and then things will come together. And I could tell you this, someone else could tell you this, and another person could tell you it, but until you're ready to hear it, until you know that you can take it and you know that you can be strong enough to take that step, that's when you'll know, that's when you'll be able to do it. I can give you those messages, but sometimes, like especially when it's heavy like that, like it's hard to take and it's hard to realize that that's how you have to live, I guess, if that makes sense. Sometimes I feel like I'm not making sense at all, but to the right person it will make sense, so that's what matters. I'm gonna hope that this is in frame. So Mint, abundance, persistence, and proliferation. Runes could be significant. That could be maybe the way that you intuit or the way that you use divination. Mint too is very like refreshing as well. You could just need like one of those like getaways. I know I definitely need one of those getaways that's just in the woods. I know they have those like domes too, so that could be significant. You could have been someone that grew up in the wilderness. Fishing too could be significant. But getting back to like nurturing your inner child for sure is definitely something that's very important. But definitely need to like cool like your senses too, because Mint is all about like, it reminds me of like eucalyptus too, where it's like you're kind of like, it's healing but it's also like refreshing, like it helps with like pain and stuff like that too. So then a fiery climax approaches. So it could be that you're building up to something greater. So like I said, with all of this happening, you're like learning lessons, right? So whatever's coming up is coming quick. But don't get stuck on the thought of that. Just go as you would normally. Go in a way that is you showing up for yourself and making sure that things that you want to happen. And that new beginning will start. So it could have to do with where it's like fiery in Aries. It could have to do with something that you're passionate about, hobbies, career, anything like that. It could be. Let's see what else comes out. Mystery. So, the beautiful thing about life is that there's mystery to it. There has to always be an element of surprise. So I feel like the lesson in what you're going through right now is that even if you can use your intuition to know things, sometimes maybe they'll give you things that aren't true or that are going to happen in the future to kind of test you. But when you peel back everything, it has to be a mystery, no matter what. You have to almost be thrown off so that it can be a mystery, so that you can learn to repoint the light at yourself instead of pointing lights at everyone else and focusing on everyone else instead of yourself, because you're almost over giving in a way, when really you need to be giving that energy to yourself. Prudence. I get the scales of... Why am I blanking on that right now? Scales of justice. That was... Anyway. Self-assurance, integrity, and clear-mindedness. So, integrity really stood out to me. If you're going to give to others, what you can give to them should also be given back to you. It should be equal. Even though you should probably be giving a little bit more to yourself if really you've been needing that for a long time. But I kept hearing, like, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I heard that too when I saw this card too. So it could be that any fog that you had has just been lifted. Any rain that's been clouding your vision or clouding your thoughts. Like, there's just something that, like, clicked into place and then you could see clearly. Because the lie becomes the truth. That kind of reminds me about, like, what I was saying about, like, intuition and stuff. Like, sometimes the lie becomes the truth and vice versa. Things have to change, things have to be set up into place, and I know it feels cruel. Like, I can relate to things feeling cruel and like it shouldn't be that way, but sometimes in order to learn the lessons, you have to go through things that feel awful to learn them. And after this is all said and done, you'll look back at it in hindsight and realize why it had to happen and be thankful for your new perspective or your new way of thinking. Dr. Doom. MF Doom, the artist, could be significant. Control at all costs. That's an interesting one. Control at all costs. So, like, it's almost stumping me a little bit. Maybe feeling in control is like a comfort. That could be the thing that you have to let go of, is feeling in control, or feeling like, because like I said, it's general, so it can be different for everyone else. But that feeling of being in control for a lot of people can be very comforting and almost like soothing in a way. So that could just be another confirmation for someone else. And also could be a sign to not let other people control you and control your life, because you've only got one life. You gotta live, well, one life is you. You have to live it exactly the way that you want to and do that unapologetically. Because, like I said, you only get it once. And then the last card is Judgment. So it's almost like Judgment and Justice, just like, it just makes you think of like clarity. Scales balancing out. Karma. If you're wondering if karma is going to serve its way, if you're spiritual, you probably already know it always does, right? So depending on the situation and how that fits for you, you'll know. So needing morality, bad habits, and lack of self-awareness. So this could be also something that you've been struggling with. Bad habits for sure are sticking out to me. So when we talk about holding on to things, usually the things that we hold on to tightly, like you see in the Four of Pentacles, are things that are habits, things that are hard to change, right? And I think that this is what you're working on gaining a higher perspective of in order to be able to heal it and to get rid of that way of thinking in order to better yourself. So I think that although it feels very dark right now, I just feel like you need a hug. Like, I feel like that's something, like, you need just some sort of release as well. So like I said, nature is a really big thing right now. That's something that can be very healing to you if you let it, I'm hearing as well. So I don't know if it's that you've been maybe ignoring that side of you, but it's definitely like it's time so that you don't sit in darkness anymore. Because I just feel like there's a lot of darkness around you. And it's time to bring back like some light into your life and feel more free. Because I feel like you could feel, even because this looks like a puppet master too, you could feel like other people are controlling you as well. And that could be something that you're also trying to get out of. You could be an Aries as well. But I also mentioned earth signs as well. Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, I think. I should probably double check that. I'll write it if it's not, but I'm just having like a brain, like an ADHD night, and that's okay. But anyway, I wish you the best of luck. It's not an easy thing to deal with, and I see you. I know that sometimes when people can get like that, like I've gotten like that, where you just are so closed off and in the dark, and you feel like no one around you understands you, like in a deep depression is what I would consider it. When you feel like nobody understands you and nobody's gone through what you've gone through, sometimes it takes hearing that one person sees you and hears you and understands what you're going through. And if that person can get through it, then you can also get through it and come out on the other side a more different and healed version of you. And there's good things to come if you can, which I know you can. It's not if you can, when you get through this, but you'll push through, you'll power through. Anyway, good luck with all of this. Wish you the best. If you chose pile 3 or the purple labradorite, then this could be for you. I haven't used this deck in a really long time, and it's like one of my favorites. It's very like tree-like as well. With the labradorite, this could just be like something significant to you, but you only see it's like true colors when you flash it in the light. So you could be like the type of person that like you have a lot of layers to you, and only the people like that are really like closest to you can see like the beautiful like sides of you. Not that you're not any other time, but like it's just like you could have a hard exterior. Ooh. There's too many there. You could have a hard exterior, and maybe people don't realize that you actually have like the personality of like the golden retriever, for example. Is that in? I think that's in focus. So you've got the Page of Wands reverse, clarified by the Devil. Oh my goodness, that's way too much. There's a lot. So with the Page of Wands reverse, it could be that maybe you had bad habits, and I guess that would make sense with it being clarified by the Devil, but it seems like there's bad habits that you're getting rid of. It could have to do with like addiction or something like that. There's just way too many there again. It could have to do with addiction. It could be like smoking is like one of the bigger things that I'm kind of feeling. With the throat too. Maybe it could have had like a really bad effect on you. Like maybe it was actually like physically starting to hurt you. Whatever this addiction was. You could be feeling guilt for it creeping back once in a while, like the urge to do it, or even if you slip up once in a while. There's many things you can be addicted to as well, because this is a general reading. So however that fits to you, you working on getting rid of an addiction, and then the theme of it popping back up, as in seeing it and wanting it, or smelling it even, and it triggers something within you to want it again. You could be, I feel like there's a feeling of guilt surrounding this for it coming back. This is different than what I've had before, but there could just be a lot of guilt around that. But there's no need to feel guilty. The fact that you're working on it says volumes. You acknowledge it, you see that it's there, you know that it exists, and you're working to combat it. And that's not going to happen overnight. You don't just beat addiction overnight. That's never ever how it works. Just gonna see what else was over here. And then at the bottom of the deck is the Page of Cups reverse. So I kind of went over that. So then with the Four of Cups, clarified by the Nine of Cups in reversed, you could be pushing away help, pushing away emotion as well, pushing away people. It could be caused by this guilt, but I feel like there's a sense of pushing people away right now. Like you're on your own island almost. Travel could be significant to you, but it just seems like you really need to be alone right now, or you want to be alone. I can just see you like pushing people away, like people are trying to help you and you won't let them. And it's not a crime to let people help, and I know it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt to let people help sometimes. And then with the Nine of Cups in reverse, maybe you have like a hyper independence to you, where it's like you don't want other people to help because you think that that makes you weaker, or that makes it so that you aren't able to do things on your own, but that is absolutely not the truth. Everybody needs help at some point in their lives, and it's almost more strength to take that help because it shows that you are vulnerable enough to take someone's aid and to let someone see you sometimes, especially when you're battling with addiction at your very lowest. If you're struggling with finding somewhere to go, because there's all these road signs, finding the right path, that might be where you need to take someone's help. I also heard advisor, so maybe you need to see someone, or even like a counselor, to kind of help you out, to kind of figure out what direction you need to go in. There's also a church here. Church could be significant to you. Maybe you've been, maybe you were brought up a certain way, or there's certain values that traditional values that you think you should have. Like, for example, more masculine values in our, in our world would be considered to be more strong and to show less emotions, which is not the way that it should be. But when it comes to taking this help, I think that it has to do with that, where it's like you don't want to show emotion to other people, but there's, like I said, there's almost more strength in that because you're having to show your vulnerability, and you also get great results from it. if you believe in a higher power, it could be watching over you, or universe, God, whatever you believe in. But there are people watching over you, whether that's past or on or what. There's definitely people that are there for you, even people that you can't see, that are hoping for the best for you and don't want to see you like this. I think this is also an homage as well to hiding behind, and it's almost like you're in hermit crab mode and you're not living your life properly because you're almost embarrassed in a way. I just get the feeling of being embarrassed or feeling shame. Maybe it could also be, this is another scenario that I'm thinking of, it could be that maybe something happened with your career or your job. Maybe you get demoted or something like that and you just feel embarrassed and shamed, but no one should be feeling any sort of way because of that, because it's not like your fault. And even if it is, like, people shouldn't base the fact that you get demoted on your whole worth, and if they do, then they're not meant to belong in your life anyway, or whatever the case may be. When it's general, it's hard because there can be so many scenarios for different people. So with the Six of Swords reversed and then the Seven of Wands reversed. So with the Six of Swords reversed, it's like you're not able to heal and to fully move on from something. Usually in the upright, it's like about moving on and moving into calming waters, like after a long storm. So it's almost like you're like denying this jolt forward to move into better grounds, into calmer waters. It seems like because of being scared of other people and other people's opinions and wanting to have your own back, but at the end of the day, it's like you're almost stabbing yourself in the back by doing that, because even though it seems like it's the right thing, sometimes it isn't always. But yeah, it seems like the talk of other people is what's really getting to you right now. And I think the branches are significant too, because it's like it being attached to the head, it's like those are all of your thoughts. You're thinking of the way that things can go. You have too many thoughts in your head. You just need to like sit with it and let it go. And being around people too would help, because it would get your mind off of it. I'm looking at this. And this is like, it also looks like a phoenix. There was also a phoenix in pile 1, so you could have been drawn to that too. But you're not letting yourself come up out of the ashes. Like, it's almost like you've been broken down all the way to the bottom and you're not letting yourself grow back up. And you need to do that. Once you hit bottom, the only place to go is back up. And it's time, and it takes a lot of strength and a lot of willpower, but it's time to stand up and to not care what people think, because it doesn't matter what people think. Because if you worried about what people thought every time you wanted to do something, you would never be able to do it, because you'd always have that at the back of your head. And then over here we have the Page of Cups in reverse. So it's like you're not letting yourself, okay, most of all, you're not nurturing your inner child. Whatever wounds you have from the past need to be healed and dealt with to the best of your ability. And if that means seeking out a counselor or seeking someone to help you, then that is the way. You'll know what works for you and what is best for you. But going back to your old roots could be the way to go too. Maybe you need to just go back and do things that you used to do when you were a kid. It could be too that you could have motherly wounds. For some reason, that's something that I'm kind of getting. That won't be for everyone, but it could be that some of you do have issues with that, and that's what you need to address. And it could even be the root of whatever addiction or whatever turmoil you're dealing with. But going back to your roots, going to the very cause of it, of the reason why you're like this, can sometimes help to build you back up and to realize why you do things the way you do, and that it's not all just coincidence. Like, it's not that you were just born like that. maybe you give yourself a hard time because you feel like it's just the way that you were born. Like, and it doesn't just happen like that. You're not just a mess up. And I don't think that you are anyway. Like, this doesn't define that. Like, this doesn't define you as a person. I feel like I should look at this too for some reason. Two of Wands in reverse. Like, there's no clear, maybe you don't see a clear path as to how to go forward. And like I said, seeing a counselor or seeing someone, an advisor, if you have to get your life in order. If that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do, but you can't stop. You just can't stop, because think of all the potential that everyone in the world has. And if everyone just stopped, there would be no growth, there would be no beauty. And I know that it's a hard world that we live in. Like, it most definitely is. Everyone is struggling right now. Most people are. And it makes it hard to want to get back up when you fall down. But in the future, I know that if it was me in your shoes, I would want to look back and not regret anything that I didn't do. Like I was saying in the other reading, like, we only live once as the person that we are now. Like, it's better to just make the best out of it and take chances that make us uncomfortable, to get to, maybe it won't always bring us where we want to go, but sometimes it brings us to where we need to be. You could just feel very lost. You seem like you could be a very quiet person, a very drawn back person. You could just be like that normally, but I feel like there's a strong need to be around people. Maybe even old friends, but going back to your roots, going back to where you came from is or what you grew up in, it's very significant. But I'm going to take out the oracle now and see what comes out. So we've got Earth, safety, comfort, spiritual connection. So like I was saying, it's like, it just feels very homey, like this picture. So if there's a place where you grew up, or a place that feels more like home, feels more familiar to you, maybe there's a need to go back there. Maybe that's what this boat and this map is all about. You need to go back to where you had like grown up or lived for so long. And my neighbors are playing a song. I think it's called Remember When. I don't know, but it's about like being nostalgic. So don't wallow in that. If you can take action on it, you absolutely should. And I think that the reason that you're feeling that way is because it's a sign that you need to be in that. If you've been feeling like having lots of old memories pop up, it means that you need to go back to that. Nothing will come of this situation. So whatever situation you're in right now, if you keep repeating the cycles that you've been doing all along, nothing will come of it. As soon as you take action and you do what it is that you feel like your heart wants you to do, once you listen to that part of yourself, is when things will start to change. Pain in reverse. So I think it definitely has to do with overcoming some sort of pain. And with these little, I think this was like a misprint, but with these little dots of pink, it shows that even in all of this darkness, there's still little bouts of lights. There's still little things to look forward to in life, even when you're at your very lowest and you feel like you can't get back up or you can't restart. You can always restart. There's lots of famous people, or lots of people who have been known in history that have done things like that and been successful doing it. Okay. This also reminds me of nurturing an inner child, like having herself in her arms. So shadow. It could be that you're having to deal with shadow work, karma. I also heard karmic ties, so that could also be something. And karmic ties can be family, it can be anybody, friends. Anything or anyone that's kind of like holding you down. It's time to get rid of that. wholeness, integration, and repressed emotions. So that could have to do with the work that you have been called to do when it comes to healing yourself, for sure. I want to get in trouble. I want to start a fight. It could also be that people are making you feel this kind of repression. Maybe it's just time to get away. It's just, I feel like you aren't naturally like a violent person. I feel like you're very quiet and stoic. But I feel like as of lately with the people that you've been around and with the things that they've been saying, I feel like you really just have been like angry. Like you just want to start a fight. Aunt May. Home is never too far away. It's so like sad. I don't know why that just, I don't know. But like I was saying, going back to home, going back to your roots, where you grew up, the people that you once loved and the people that you know will take care of you, it's never too late to go back to that. And there's another thing too that I'm seeing, like you would never want to look back, like I know I said this before, but you would never want to look back when you're like 80 years old and be like, I wish I would have done this. You should do it, and you should have no regrets about it, whatever it is that you want to do. Because if you really are in such like a really bad and deep hole, what does it matter if you try something new? Worst case that happens, you get to the same spot and you have to build yourself up again. But I think you know deep down in your heart and your soul what is best for you right now. And I think that you definitely need to take action on that. You have people, like, I just feel like there's people too, maybe that you haven't even spoken to in forever, that still would have your back if you needed it. And you know that yourself as well. Me and more. True love, long-term commitment, equality, and passion. So that could be another thing that could come out of this. It feels very random when you look at all of this together, but it could also have to do with opening up your heart space. Maybe seeing certain people or doing certain things will open up your heart space and help you make a decision when it comes to all of this and how to move forward. But I think that as soon as you make that decision, as soon as you take that leap and do what it is that you've been missing, is when things are gonna start to work out for you. And they're like, I feel like I need to say this like a billion times. These readings have been so sad. Like, I don't know, it just like, I said it in the last pile, but like this is also another pile where I just want to give you a big hug. I don't know if it's in the air right now, but it feels like it's very needed. It's a really hard thing to go through. It's hard things to go through, especially if you've been going through it for a long time. But trust that it will turn around. As soon as you make that decision to do what makes you happy is when all of this will start to become lighter. But anyway, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that you get to do that sooner than later. Yeah, I just hope that everything works out for you.